All right, today we're going to jump back into the Bitcoin price action as well as the stock market because we are seeing some weakness, especially over there in something like the S&P, but not all hope is lost. It's pretty hard to phase me. I'm still pretty optimistic just based off of previous fractals and sentiment in the market right now. And my base case absolutely remains the same. If anything, I'm actually getting a little bit more bullish than I have been, thinking that there is the possibility Bitcoin goes on a bit larger of a run than my conservative case would suggest. But of course, only time will tell, and we actually have a big month for economic data. So that will kind of tell the story when we do see the unemployment numbers and what the Fed signals in their next meeting on September 18th. But let's see what the charts can tell us, starting off here with Bitcoin. You can see we have flushed back down after rejecting this point of control I kind of talked about in yesterday's video, like, hey, looks pretty bullish, but resistance is resistance until it's flipped into support, and we were not able to confirm anything above that. We just had a swing failure of these highs, then rejected POC. Now coming back down, we are back at this other point of control. Kind of got under it this morning. We're now sitting above it, and we're above this monthly point of control as well. You can see on the new month open, we're forming some volume there. So back testing that is good to see, but we're certainly at a very critical point on price because this overall is still bearish, because with this pullback we accepted below the golden pocket. You can see on the fibs here, swing low to swing high. This is your 618, this is your golden pocket, and we have gotten under this and flipped it into resistance. So not the end of the world, right? Because we are holding volume. So we want volume to hold. We want to get back above the 618. We want to flip the golden pocket back into support, and that would signal much higher prices here, potentially flipping this back into support, and then, of course, going all the way on up to maybe all-time highs. I do think there's still a good chance that is the low, but I'm not super confident in it. I'm not saying these are the cleanest lows ever or anything like that. Could definitely sweep down lower. I just don't think we're going to go that much lower. If we do, if we go over here to trading light, you can see lots of big buyers still in the order books under 56K, where there's also a lot of hourly single prints, these inefficiencies on the chart from our previous day TPO profile. This is also a liquidity level, so lots of good confluences here for a potential swing failure pattern. This is something I'll be looking for. Let's see if we do get that sweep of the lows, and that would make me a little bit more confident in taking a larger long setup, right? I'm not really trying to trade any of this stuff because I'm already in a long. I'm in a long from this previous low still. I still got most of that position running, so I'm just going to be patient here. But yeah, I do think there's a good chance this also can hold. We've seen a lot of spoofs in the order book. This is something we talked about in my meeting today, which is something that we do in like the VIP group. Link is in the description down below for that. It's 25% off right now, by the way. It's a premium Discord specifically for leveraged trading. But yeah, essentially we have a lot of these spoof walls, which are pretty interesting. You don't see these a whole bunch, especially not where they're just put in for a couple minutes and then taken out. You can see each of these pink blocks are 1,000 Bitcoin, spoofing the order books, and you see this a lot throughout here. So this is someone trying to make the price action here over on Binance USDTM, which is the biggest contract in crypto, leveraged contract, and there's a lot of volume going on here. 1,000 Bitcoin, it's a lot of Bitcoin. You can see right now currently another one of these walls spoofing up price. So what is this person doing spoofing the order books? Well, it's one of two things. He can either be trying to fill short positions up higher so he can take it down lower, or he is already in a long position, potentially from back here at this low. So he's in a long position and he is trying to keep that long protected. So he is spoofing price here to go ahead and move it on up. So we don't exactly know which scenario is going to play out here. The latter would be more bullish if these are, spoofs to protect his order. He's probably going to keep that protected and, force price up, and then potentially, if we do get bullish order flow, this could still be the low. Although I will say when you have spoofs in the order books, that's a lot of artificial price action. A lot of the times artificial price action gets retraced into, especially if it is a squeeze, which we do see here. Open interest decreasing as price is going up. So these spoofs are causing a bit of a short squeeze. So not a ton of true buying pressure forcing up price right now, which is not normally the best thing, right? Short squeezes are weaker moves than buyers stepping in. We also see another wall up here, large order around 900 Bitcoin. That could be the person spoofing, right? He could be trying to spoof up price to this order so he can fill that short and then go ahead and take the short all the way down, because obviously all of these pink 1,000 Bitcoin buy walls are not getting filled. They're just to force price up to where he actually wants to get the order filled. So we'll see how this plays out. This could be someone just being very obvious in the order books, spoofing it into his sell wall, and then that's where price reverses. So we'll see what happens. Does any of this really mean much? Not necessarily. It's just an added confluence, something noteworthy on the charts. But yeah, I would say overall, the fact we got under golden pocket, we are rejecting that. I wouldn't be surprised if we sweep lower. We have these two levels on the chart, and I would even add in another one right here because we've made so many wicks to this level. There's going to be liquidity here. This is a liquidity level that is now new, and we could see a potential swing failure here as well at around $57,000. So those are your levels to the downside if this is not to hold. But like I said, we're above volume, so support is support until it's flipped into resistance. As long as we can hold this and get above golden pocket, still have a good case that this is the low and we could, squeeze on up to all-time highs like my base case suggests. Now let's get into what actually caused this dump other than the obvious swing failure pattern and rejection of point control, right? Those are some confluences on Bitcoin, but we can look to the S&P for the reasoning this actually played out, and it is simply that the S&P fell as well. You can see we had this futures gap on the chart that got distributed within, and I said this was pretty bullish consolidation because these highs were all at the same level. We were probably going to see them get broken, especially with all the liquidity that's probably up there, right? I do a lot of stuff on a liquidity basis, but a lot of the times, with the spoof orders we were just talking about on Bitcoin, even if it's poor highs like we had poor lows here, that they could be protecting those orders and squeezed all those longs that were piling in. So that's exactly what happened. And while structurally on the daily time frame, this could look a little bit scary, right? Do we have a double top here on the S&P that's about to enter the Great Depression 2.0? Potentially, but we also have big support below us now, daily EMA, along with a previous futures gap. So I would expect this to hold. Assuming this does hold, this is nothing but an expected correction. Whenever you make these futures gaps to the downside or upside, there's a very high probability to come back and fill those for a bullish correction. So I don't think this is too worrying, but we got to make sure we do hold support. We don't want to just keep falling down, right? We want to make sure we're holding these fibs higher up. I don't want to really even get back to that golden pocket. I want to hold the 382. I want to hold a much more bullish structure here for another burst up into all-time highs and for that euphoria to resume on the break of all-time highs, which will definitely happen. You'll definitely see a rotation into crypto, in my opinion, even if this is just more of a distribution area where the S&P does trade kind of sideways. I do think you're going to see a lot of money flow out of this into Bitcoin. But I got to say, so far, we're just not seeing that. We're not seeing the rotation into risk on assets. We look over here at the Russell, sharp rejection again, right up at that point of control, now getting back under the value area low. Not really looking too good here on the Russell. We are at the daily EMA though, so we're still holding the bullish trend, but this candle does look pretty nasty, right? Not the best thing we want to see. And because the Russell is more correlated with altcoins than anything, you have seen Bitcoin dominance continue to go up, and you've seen the altcoins take a plunge as well. And it's a very similar thing to Bitcoin, rejected the golden pocket here. So we want to see this get flipped back into support. We had talked about, these fibs do play out pretty nice. They do, kind of tell us how price is acting. And if we reject the golden pocket, it's usually not the best sign, such as back here, rejected golden pocket, made a new low. So we'll see what happens. We definitely are at a critical level right now, but I think the market is just kind of de-risking because we got some big economic news this month, and they don't really know for sure what that news is going to say. If unemployment ticks up again, right, if this makes a higher high, when that data comes out, you're probably going to see markets instantly enter a recession. If this does beat expectations though, if it does pull back significantly, then I would expect we're going to see a big rally, a big burst of euphoria going into election season. I expect the latter to happen just based off unemployment claims. I do think you're going to see this pullback. I'd be very surprised if this prints another higher high, but let's see if it actually does pull back significantly or if it just kind of remains at the same level. I think the market doesn't really know for sure if that's going to beat expectations or not, and that's why we're just seeing a little bit of wariness, especially, month of September, not normally the most bullish month, so this sideways chop doesn't really surprise me. Another thing we're seeing that's not the most bullish thing ever is the dollar reclaimed support. So we had talked about how losing this support was super bullish. We could see a falling knife here on the dollar, but we have made a deviation and gotten back above support. We're still holding this range. So let's see if this is, still just retracement and we roll over, or if this is going to hunt all the way back up. All right, the dollar is inversely correlated with crypto and really all your assets in the stock market. So the dollar being bullish here, not the best thing in the world. But of course, only time will tell. This could easily roll over where we are, and we just got to wait for some of this big economic data this month, and that'll be kind of the confirmation we need. I think if it comes out beating expectation, you're going to see big money swoop back in, pump price a lot faster than people expect. Bitcoin can move on a dime, and if the S&P starts going for all-time highs, you could see Bitcoin fly right up to all-time highs. It can happen very quickly. A lot of people underestimate how fast this can move, but just as easily as it can move to the upside that quick, it can also have a falling knife. So we'll see what happens. A lot of anticipation for these new economic numbers when it comes to unemployment. My case says it's going to come in better than expectations. We're going to have that burst of euphoria. We're going to have some rallies into the latter half of this year, but then we will actually start the true recession because the trend is still up on unemployment. I think that's going to continue to rise. Just we'll have momentary correction, momentary lapse of fears, and big money can step back in without having to worry about a recession being imminent. But if you do have any questions about anything I talked about or just want to join the community for this channel, link to my Discord is in the description down below. Also, VIP Discord below that link specifically for leveraged trading. And I am trying to provide as much value as possible in there. Trading guides, trading confluence trackers, etc. That is not a signals group. And then also below those links are a bunch of my exchange partners. They all have their own perks and benefits exclusive to those that use my referral links to sign up. So definitely don't miss out on that. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.